Welcome to this Easy 11 Plus short lesson on advanced sequences skills based on a really fiendish old question from a St Paul's Girls' School sample paper. Don't forget to check out the resources linked in the video description where you can also find the worksheet for this lesson, and don't forget to look at the books on the RSL Educational website and my 11 Plus Lifeline online service. Let's get started. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We're given some essential background information. Always take the time to read and fully understand the information given in the question. We know that N5 means add up the first 5 counting numbers. So N5 is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. And of course you should be able to work out that the first 5 matches the 5 of N5. O3 means add up the first 3 odd numbers. So O3 is 1 plus 3 plus 5. So the first 3 odd numbers is O3. E4 means add up the first 4 even numbers. So E4 is 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8, giving 20. Work out the following. E7. So that must mean the first 7 even numbers. Now it might be tempting to write E7 is 2 plus 4 plus and so on, but you don't need to do that because you've actually been given a good part of the answer already. You know that it's going to be E4 plus 10 plus 12 plus 14, so the next 3. And we know that E4 is 20, 10 plus 12 plus 14, there's nothing wrong with doing it in stages, 10 plus 12 is 22, plus 14. 20 plus 22 is 42, plus 14, well 42 plus 4 is 46, plus 10 is 56. N8 will be N5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8. And N5, as we know, is 15. 6 plus 7 is 13, plus 8. 15 plus 13 is 28 because it's 2 less than 30, plus 8 equals 36. N9, well we've just worked out N8, it's 36. So it's going to be N8 and the next number along, the next counting number. So we got up to 8, so the next one will be 9. N8 plus 9 is 36 plus 9, which equals 45. This is a classic warm-up stage for a longer, more difficult question. It gets you into the right mindset and gets you used to the concepts that you're going to be working with. The next part asks us to find the value of N401 minus N400. Now you might get into a terrible flap and start thinking, wow, okay, I've got to work out N401. So N401 equals 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, all the way up to plus 401. That's going to take a long time. What about N400? That's going to be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, all the way up to 400. Hang on a sec. This is all the same. These are going to be just the same right up till the very end, when for this one you're going to have plus 400 plus 401. And this one's going to be just the same right up to plus 400. So if we take this and subtract this, the only thing left over is going to be this. We're just going to be left with 401. What I've tried to demonstrate here is something that I think is so important in maths exams. If you don't know how to do it, start writing down what you do know. So here, I thought, what would happen if I started trying to count up from the bottom? So I wrote 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4.5. Oh, this is going to go on forever. Try the other one. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, and I realised that the beginnings were just the same. So then I thought, what's going to happen at the end? And this is why I found the difference, and then it became obvious that if I took away the second sequence from the first one, I'd be left just with 401. So start with what you know and see what ideas it might stimulate, even if the answer isn't obvious from the beginning. Now we're taught a new way of finding the O, or odd number sequence. So you'll remember that if we had to work out 07, that meant adding 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9 plus 11 plus 13. But here it's showing us that if we add those together, we get 1, 4, 9, blah, 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 49. And we should spot that these are in fact all square numbers. And very helpfully, the examiner has told us this. And not only are they square numbers, but they match the O values. 07 gives us 7 squared, 02 gives us 2 squared, and so on. So if we wanted to find the sum of the first 10 odd numbers, rather than adding them all together, we could just work out 10 squared. So the sum of the first 10 odd numbers is 10 squared, which is 100. So this is a really useful shortcut that's kindly been given to us. Now we need to find the value of O13. And because we know the rule, this should be straightforward. It's going to be 13 squared. We don't need to write out everything in between. If you don't know this, you can do a multiplication, 13 times 13, but you probably know that 13 times 13 is 169. Now the examiner's kind enough to teach us another bit of maths. N6, so remember that's the first 6 counting numbers without any gaps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, is actually the sum of the first 3 odd numbers and the first 3 even numbers. So we can write N6 as O3, the sum of the first 3 odd numbers, and E3, the sum of the first 3 even numbers. And now there's just a short question to test that we've understood that, so that we can take that knowledge into whatever comes afterwards. So N10, the first 10 counting numbers, is going to be the first 5 odd numbers and the first 5 even numbers. Of course, we don't need to work out the answer, what the value of N10 actually is. We just need to show that we've understood this. And now we get into the real maths, what we've all been waiting for. We're told that N200 is 20,100 and N401 is 80,601. Use this information to work out E100 and E200. How on earth do we do this? Now this is a really good test of whether you have the confidence to do what I said, which is to write down what you know, even when you aren't sure where it's going to take you. Let's look at the maths we've just been taught. We've been taught something useful about n sequences. We know that where you have n10, for example, it's the sum of O5 and E5, just as n6 was the sum of O3 and E3. Now here we're angling for E100 and we're given N200. And that might start to suggest some kind of hint in your mind. It might at least suggest that N200 is what we want to play with if we're going to find out E100. Let's try it. So we know that N200 is going to equal O100 plus E100. This is the information that we've been given up here. We can fill in at least one gap here because we've been told that N200 actually equals 20,100. So we can write that as 20,100 equals O100 plus E100. By this point you might be wondering why they bothered to teach us that magic rule for finding O values. Remember, O13 is the same as 13 squared. So using this we can actually find out what O100 is. O100 must be 100 squared. What is 100 squared? Well, 100 squared is 100 times 100. And if you times something by 100, you add 2 zeros to it. So it's 100 with 2 more zeros. 10,000. So 2,100 is 10,000 plus E100. And this will enable us to work out E100. So if 2,100 is 10,000 more than E100, then E100 is 20,100 minus 10,000, which of course is 10,100. So we just started by writing down what we knew, and then we started filling things in based on the maths that we've been taught throughout this question and our common sense. So something that looked horrendously difficult, in fact, wasn't. We just had to keep our calm and carry on. Now we need to work out E200. Now E100 was easy because we were given N200, and we could apply the N200 equals O100 plus E100 rule. But here, to find E200, we would need N400 if we were going to use the same method. But we aren't given N400, we're given N401. But have a look at this that we did earlier. We worked out that N401 minus N400, in other words, the difference between N400 and N401 was 401. So we can find out what N400 is if we know the value of N401. We just need to take away 401 from it. So N400 will be N401 take away 401, because 401 is the difference between N400 and N401. I hope that makes sense. We know what N401 is. It's 80,601. Big numbers here. And of course, if you do this, you're going to get 80,200. And now we can just apply the same method as for the first part of this question. N400 is going to be the sum of O200 and E200. And we know that N400 is 80,200. We know that O200 is going to be 200 squared. Well, 2 times 2 is 4, and timesing by 100 adds 2 zeros. So O200 is 40,000. So with this, we can work out what E200 is. If E200 and another 40,000 gives us 80,200, then of course E200 must be 40,200. And that's it. There was actually hardly any maths that you needed to know before doing this question. It was all given to you. You just needed to keep your cool, always start by writing down what you know, and never forget to go back through the previous parts of the question to find valuable gems that would unlock, I'm mixing my metaphors here, the way into the next part that was more difficult. I hope you enjoyed that. I think that's a fantastic question, even if it's tricky. It really gets your brain working. Don't forget to check out the links in the video description. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you back next Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock for my next Easy 11 Plus live lesson. In the meantime, check out the RSL Educational website, all my books and my online resources through 11 Plus Lifeline, and lots of free things. I'll see you for my next lesson. Bye-bye.